When he lured me into the stairwell, I really thought Jason Smith had prepared an anniversary gift for me. But the moment I stopped, a sudden shove from behind knocked me off balance. I tumbled down the stairs, step after step. The last thing I saw was Jason Smith's expressionless face. Just days ago, this man spoke to me with soft words and tender eyes. Now, he looked down at me like I was nothing. Only when he saw the dark red blood between my legs did he finally speak. His voice was cold, like a messenger straight from hell. That sudden name hit me like a brick. Latina Mera, the girl who died in a car crash a few months ago. Jason Smith's secret lover. My hands instinctively shielded my cramping belly. I stared up at him in disbelief, my mind refusing to accept what I just heard. So, this morning, when he gently caressed my pregnant belly and asked how far along I was, it wasn't out of fatherly love. It was the cold calculation of an executioner, double-checking the time before he pulled the trigger. Jason Smith. He's using my child to get revenge for Latina Mera. But she lost her baby because she ran a red light. What does that have to do with me? Jason Smith repeated each word slowly. His eyes burned with raw hatred and disgust. He stood above me, distant and cold. Isabel Lopez, every debt you owe, you're going to pay. I froze, struggling to understand. Since when did asking a husband to cut ties with his mistress, for the sake of family and responsibility, become a sin? Meanwhile, the one who caused all this chaos stood high and mighty, pretending to be some kind of moral guardian for his filthy love. I didn't even have the strength to argue. The pain kept growing. I felt the tiny life that had lived inside me for 5 months slowly slipping away. I couldn't help but beg through my tears. Jason Smith, I'm begging you, call an ambulance. It's your child too. But all I got was his flat, emotionless voice. When you forced me to choose back then, did you ever think that the baby in Latina's belly was mine too? He turned and walked away. Not once did he look back at me, even as I doubled over in pain and broke into a cold sweat. His cold, unflinching figure vanished behind the door. From beginning to end, he never once turned around. My clothes were soaked in cold sweat. The chill of the cement floor seeped into my boneset was icy, bone deep. Darkness swallowed me whole. In the haze, I found myself back at our wedding. The officiant read from his card, reciting the vows word for word. Do you, the bride, take Mr. Jason Smith to be your lawful husband, to care for him, love him, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health. Jason Smith stood across from me in a sharp suit, swallowing nervously. His eyes were lit with warmth and devotion. But slowly, that gaze turned cold, cruel, and it merged bit by bit with the Jason Smith who stood above me on the stairs, watching me suffer without a flicker of emotion. He stepped closer and closer, his hands wrapped around my neck and tightened. Isabel Lopez, every debt you owe, you will repay. I gasped and jolted awake. I was back on that stormy night. I promise this is the last time. Shinyu's in a really unstable state right now. I just need to see her, make sure she's okay. His phone buzzed over and over with messages. Jason Smith tried to stay calm, speaking gently as if negotiating with me. But the bulging veins on the back of his clenched fists gave him away. In my past life, it was this look, this bottled-up panic, this concern for Latina Mera that finally pushed me over the edge. I brought up our child and our marriage, forced him to choose me, or her. Think it through. If you step out that door today, we're done for real. Jason Smith didn't answer back then. He just silently put down the car keys and went back to the room without a word. No one expected Latina Mera to spiral so wildly while waiting for him. On that stormy day, she sped through 5 red lights in a fit of rage at the 6th. She slammed into a massive truck coming from the side. The crash was fatal. 2 lives lost in an instant. After getting the news, Jason Smith fell into a long depression. Every night, he chain-smoked like a madman on the balcony until he heard me sobbing by the toilet, broken from the hell of morning sickness. Then he snapped out of it, like waking from a bad dream. He dropped the cigarette and rushed in to hold me tight. That man, always so calm and collected, had red eyes for the first time. His fingers trembled as he wiped my tears. Isabel, I was wrong. I failed you. Let's forget all of that and just live a good life together, okay? In that moment, my longing for a whole loving family drowned out every doubt buried in my heart. I let my weak, trembling body lean into his warm embrace. It felt like a silent forgiveness. Just as he promised, from that day on, Jason Smith took over everything I needed during my pregnancy. He was gentle, considerate. He cared about every little thing. Sometimes he'd even press his cheek to my belly and dream out loud about our baby's future. As the baby grew day by day, I really started to believe maybe I could let this go. Turn a blind eye. Just move on and be a family. But I never imagined he'd twist reality and blame me completely for Latina Mara's death. All that love, guilt, and regret he had for his little mistress turned into pure, burning hatred for me. He hated me so much that, even knowing how hard my pregnancy was, he still reached out with claws of revenge. He hated me enough to fake being the perfect husband for 3 whole months, just so he could take revenge on the exact day I hit 5 months and 7 days, the same month Latina Mara's baby would have been. All that sweet affection, just poison dipped in sugar. Sure, go ahead. Before he even finished speaking, I'd already stepped aside, pulling the door open without hesitation. I walked past Jason Smith without looking back. He froze for a second, then grabbed my arm. What do you mean by that? I honestly think there's something wrong with him. When I tried to stop him before, I was annoying. Now I'm letting him go, and he's still clinging to me, demanding answers. What do I mean? I mean that from now on, I won't stop you no matter how many times you go. I meant every word. But Jason Smith thought I was just being dramatic again, and his face went right back to that familiar look of impatience. Isabel Lopez, don't push your luck. I already chose you over her. What more do you want? Chose me? What he really chose was his half of the assets he didn't want split, the perfect husband image he didn't want ruined. He chose the comfy life he was used to, the one where he's taken care of. It was all just cost-benefit math. And now, he dares to dump the blame on me like he's some saint. I stopped. One by one, I peeled his fingers off my arm. I don't need your choice anymore, so go. Go find your precious Jinyu. He stared at me for a long time, then slammed the door as he left. Fine. You said it. Don't come crying to me later. What Jason Smith didn't know was I'd already regretted everything. I regretted not walking away the moment I found out he cheated. Regretted fighting for a man like him. Wasting my breath competing with Latina Mara. I opened my phone and booked a gynecology appointment for the next day. The moment the appointment was confirmed, a wave of helplessness crashed over me. All I ever wanted was a normal little family of 3. Why was that too much to ask? I'd never really had a family growing up. My parents divorced when I was little, and both started new families. My dad didn't want me because I was a girl. My mom didn't want me either. She was scared I'd ruin her new life with her new man. There was a time they just left me on the side of the road to fend for myself. A government worker passing by had to use the law to force them to take responsibility for raising me. Living under my stepmother's roof was hell. Anytime she was in a bad mood, I'd be kicked out and forced to sleep on the streets. On my 7th birthday, I refused to play horsey for my younger brother. My dad and stepmom teamed up to beat me and threw me out of the house. The grandma next door gave me a leftover piece of birthday cake from her granddaughter's party. I sat in the cold wind, hands pressed together, and made my first real birthday wish. I swore that when I grew up, I'd build a little home of my own and fill it with all the warmth I never had. Later, I met Jason Smith in college. He was young, fiery, and holding my hand under the pear blossom tree. He looked me in the eyes and promised, "Isabel Lopez, trust me. I'll give you a real home whole and warm." The breeze that day was gentle, lifting the fringe from his forehead. The love and certainty in his eyes outshone even the golden light of that afternoon. So I believed him. And 6 years into our marriage, I was left completely wrecked. I still remember it vividly. The first time I found the chat between Jason Smith and Latina Mara in my past life. My heart shattered. On his lit-up phone screen, Latina Mara smiled at the camera, holding milk tea, looking sweet and flirty. Their conversation was full of tenderness. No one to warm my hands this winter. Thank God for milk tea. I'm so pitiful. JPG. Be good. I'll be there tomorrow night. I'll warm your hands and feet. Won't let our baby feel a bit of cold. Just a few lines, and it painted the sticky, sugary mess of 2 people tangled in love. And all This. Just 3 hours after I'd tested positive for being 3 weeks pregnant. One moment, I was giddy with joy, planning how to share the good news with Jason Smith. The next, I was plunged straight into hell by his unlocked phone screen. The crash between pure joy and utter heartbreak turned into a raging bull, dragging my emotions down a road with no brakes. At the same time, my phone buzzed nonstop with incoming texts. A photo of a 4-month pregnancy ultrasound, and a message, "Hey, useless hen, thought I'd show you what your husband's real baby looks like. Jealous yet? No need to thank me for sharing the burden of childbirth. Jason already thanked me properly elsewhere. Oh, almost forgot make sure to clean the backseat of your SUV when you get the chance. Got a little carried away during the day. You know how it is. We're all adults here." I stormed into the bathroom like a woman possessed and slammed the phone into Jason Smith's face. "Isabel Lopez, what the hell's wrong with you this late at night?" he cursed, holding his nose. But the second he saw what was on the soaked screen, the words died in his throat. The bathroom steamed up with a sticky heat that thickened the air. I sobbed as I stared at Jason Smith's frozen expression, at those darting eyes that refused to meet mine. He looked so unfamiliar, it was terrifying. And this was the man I'd loved for 10 years. We'd gone from school uniforms to wedding gowns. I truly believed we were the picture of perfect love. But behind my back, happiness had already been eaten away, rotted from the inside out. All that remained was a fragile illusion, shattered the moment the truth came crashing down. The pain struck like a decayed tooth hitting a nerve sharp, deep, and absolutely lethal. That night, I screamed like a madwoman, even after I calmed down. My thoughts were still hijacked by fury and refusal. The only thing ringing in my head was, I will never let Latina Mara steal the family that's mine. Drowning in sunk costs and emotional chaos, I clung tightly to the last thread holding this broken family together. But now, living through it all again, that burning rage I had when my lover betrayed me and his mistress taunted mates just gone. It felt like the howling winter wind outside had frozen my heart, solid numbed it into complete indifference. And just like that, reason finally broke through the emotional fog. Some things, the moment they rot, belong in the trash. People too. So yeah, Jason Smith, you're rotten, and I'm done. And for a family I know will never bring happiness, not having a child is the kindest thing I can do. My appointment with the specialist was at 10 a.m., but I was called to the hospital just after 3 because Jason Smith got into a car crash on his way to see Latina Mara. It had been pouring rain. The roads were slick. He was speeding. At an intersection, the car skidded and slammed into a truck. Same weather, same intersection, same truck setup. It was exactly like the crash that killed Latina Mara in my past life. But Jason Smith was luckier. He swerved just in time and avoided being crushed underneath. What he didn't avoid was a sheet of rusty metal that fell off the truck. It speared straight through his roof and nearly severed his forearm. If I heard correctly, it was his left arm, the one he used to push me down the stairs last time around. And it was in that moment I realized I wasn't completely numb after all. When the doctor gave me the news, I felt it the endorphin rush, pure chemical pleasure. I saw his face again the way he looked down on me, cold and superior. Fine, I admit it. I'm petty, vindictive, and unforgiving. That look he gave me, like I was some worthless insect, I hated it. So I decided I'd give him the same look right back. But just as I reached the hospital room, his mother, who'd been waiting outside, blocked my way. She gritted her teeth and said, "You've got some nerve showing up here." I paused, pointed toward the elevator, and asked, "So you want me to leave right now?" Ever since I married Jason Smith, his mother had never liked me. She thought I stole her son and found fault with everything I did. I used to stay quiet, not wanting to put Jason Smith in the awkward spot between his mom and me. So I swallowed her constant jabs and acted like it didn't bother me. But not anymore. Now, I only cared about how I felt. My words caught her off guard. She huffed, chest rising and falling, before jabbing a finger toward my face. "Your husband's lying in surgery after a car accident. And look at you. Even I, an old woman, rushed to the hospital. But you? Nowhere to be seen? And when you finally show up, You're strolling in like you're out shopping. My son's been busting his ass every day to support this family. And what does he get in return? A heartless ingrate who lets him drive out in the middle of the night during a damn storm. Why did my son end up marrying a jinx like you? I yawned lazily behind my hand. Her face turned beet red, and her finger nearly poked my eye. Isabel Lopez, are you even listening? I smacked her hand away. Before you start blaming others, maybe ask your precious son who he was rushing off to meet in the middle of the night. Actually, I've got a question for you. What kind of parenting raises a son who can't even stay faithful in marriage? Honestly, I dragged the last word out. Then, with the calmest voice, I finished under her fire-breathing glare. Like mother, like son. After all, she got divorced years ago for cheating during her own marriage. Being called out by the daughter-in-law she always looked down on. Her hand trembled as she pointed at me, stammering, You,